Japanese Mahjong, often referred to as Riichi Mahjong, is a 4-player game played by millions worldwide. It's a variant of the original game created in southern China several hundred years ago, where the clacking of the tiles being pushed together reminded them of the chirping of sparrows. This is where we eventually get the name Mahjong, originally Matue, in southern dialect, meaning little sparrows. As you'll see throughout the video, these birds permeate several aspects of Mahjong, but before we begin, it's worth noting this video is split into chapters by topic for your convenience. We'll start with our first chapter, what materials you'll need to play a game of Riichi Mahjong. What do you need to play a game of Riichi Mahjong? There are a few necessary materials alongside some recommended and helpful materials that we'll go over today. If you're going to a Riichi Mahjong club in your area, they will already have these materials, but if you're looking to play a game with friends on a board game night, this is what you're going to need. A standard game of Riichi Mahjong will include the following: a felt mat called a junk mat to play the game on so the tiles don't get scratched on whatever surface you're playing on, a set of Riichi Mahjong tiles, 2 6-sided die, point sticks, which almost always come with your set of Mahjong tiles, a compass, which helps you quickly verify information at the table, and a dealer indicator, which should also come with your set of Mahjong tiles. Strictly speaking, you don't need a junk mat or a compass, but they are recommended to make life easier. Additionally, you can use 2 tools from the internet to make your life easier if you're a new player. You can find what is called a Yaku sheet in printable PDF form online, which will give you a full list of the Yaku or win conditions in Mahjong. This is helpful for new players who haven't had the time to memorize all the types of hands yet, and they also come with legends for each of the tiles if you don't have experience with Japanese and Chinese characters. There's also a smartphone app called Mahjong Camera that lets you take a picture of your hand and it'll calculate the winning score for you. This is useful because scoring hands can be one of the biggest learning curves in Mahjong. In the future, I will teach scoring in a separate video. If you want any or all of these materials, a website called Mahjong Stars, who are not a sponsor yet, at mjstars.net have a high quality variety of products, including the Amos numbers set, which includes everything you need for a game of Mahjong, with the added bonus that the tiles have Arabic numerals in the top right corner, making it easier for new players to recognize tiles. This is the same set that I'll be using for demonstration in this video, and if you're thinking about ordering it, I have a video review of the Amos number set here on my channel. Now that we have our materials, how do we set up a game of Riichi Mahjong? After setting up a table and getting our junk mat ready, it's time to put the tiles on the table, but not all of them. Most Mahjong sets come with extra tiles useful for things like house rules. They're normally these ones, but there's an easy way to check. You'll want to make sure that you have 4 copies of each tile. The tiles of Mahjong are broken into 2 categories: numbered tiles and honor tiles. The numbered tiles are straightforward. There are 3 suits, characters, circles, and bamboo, each being numbered 1 through 9. Most of the tiles tell you what they are, like this tile with 7 circles on it is the 7 of circles, but one to watch out for is the 1 of bamboo, which is a sparrow sitting in front of a bamboo tree. The character tiles are written in Chinese characters, which are the same as the Japanese kanji for the numbers. 1 through 5 are easily remembered. 1, 1 line. 2, 2 lines. 3, 3 lines. 4 is a box, and a box has 4 sides. 5 has 5 lines, and it's also how China and Japan do tallies. Many people replace 1-5 in each suit with a red one, which is worth bonus points if it's in your hand when you win, but we'll talk more about winning hands and scoring later. The Chinese characters for 6 through 9 you'll have to memorize on your own or use a Yaku sheet as previously discussed. The honor tiles are split into 2 categories: winds and dragons. There are 3 dragons based on colors: white, red, and green. There are 4 different winds, each corresponding to a cardinal direction: east, south, west, and north. These winds are an integral element of Mahjong, but are also a common source of confusion for new players, so I'll explain them in detail as we go along. With these tiles, you should have 4 copies of each of the 34 individual tiles, totaling 136 tiles in all. Once we have our tiles, we can put out our point sticks. Some point sticks are cream colored and others are color coded, like in this set, but there will always be dots on them denoting their value. In a standard game of Riichi Mahjong, players start with 25,000 points. Each player will need one 10,000 point stick, two 5,000 point sticks, four 1,000 point sticks, and five 100 point sticks. You'll notice that we're missing 500 points, and that's because we're at a bit of a crossroads. Not all sets come with 500 point sticks, and while some people make their own, you may have to put out 5 more 100 point sticks per player. Make sure your dealer indicator, dice, and compass are set off to the side. It's time to determine where everyone is going to sit. At the start of each game of Mahjong, each player is assigned one of the winds. There are many ways to assign these roles. The most popular method in casual game settings involves setting aside the 4 wind tiles, shuffling them, and having each person choose one at random. If you have 5 people and need to choose someone to sit out, try adding a white dragon to the mix, and whoever draws the blank tile will sit out for that game. Whoever draws the east wind is the person that everyone else will be based on, and you can remember this with things like the sun rises in the east. So the east player sits down first, the south player sits on their right, the west player across from them, and the north player to their left. Astute viewers will notice that this isn't actually how directions work when looking down at a compass. But if you look up, as if you were looking at chirping sparrows in the sky, the orientation changes to the layout we have here. All we've done here is determine where people sit, so please note that after sitting down, these wind assignments will soon be redistributed. Now that everyone is sitting down, we can start to shuffle or wash the tiles. It's best to place your hands on the junk mat and then push the tiles around so they don't flip over or get pushed out of the mat as easily. Do this for anywhere from 30 to 60 seconds and your tiles will be shuffled. Next, we need to build the wall. The wall of tiles is synonymous to a deck of cards, and we'll be drawing our tiles from it when playing. To build the wall, each player will build their own section of it. Start by gathering a row of 17 tiles near the edge of the junk mat, and then another. Use the back row to push the other row forward, and then you can put the back row on top of the front row. As you learn how to play, you'll learn to grab all of these at once, but there's no shame in doing them a few at a time. It's where we all started. Now that all 4 players have worked together to build the wall, this is where we'll need our dice and compass, if you have it, to assign who will be the first dealer of the game. Whoever was the east player when you sat down should have the east indicator on the compass facing them and roll both dice. With the east player starting at 1, going counterclockwise around the table, the count goes up to 12 with the dice. So if it lands on 2, the south player is the first dealer, on 3 it's the west player, on 4 it's the north player, 5 the east player, and so on until you get to 12. This is where the winds get reassigned. Whoever is the first dealer is now the east player. During the game, the east player is synonymous with the term dealer. Dealer is a bit of a misnomer since you won't actually be dealing tiles to other players like you might in a card game, but you will be drawing the first tile. The new east player now places the dealer indicator at the bottom right hand corner of the junk mat to denote that they were the first dealer of the game. This is known as East 1. We are now in the East round, the first round in a game of Mahjong, first dealer. Therefore, East 1. The East round ends when everyone has been the dealer once, so after East 4. When a player loses as the dealer moves on to the next person counterclockwise. So the south player becomes east, west becomes south, and so on. After East 4, you move on to the south round, which, similar to the east round, goes until south 4. This is where 99.99% of Mahjong games end, south 4, when everyone has had a chance to be the dealer twice. The game can also end if someone gets to a negative point value. There are also half games of Mahjong where you only play through to East 4. With all of that out of the way, we can now play Riichi Mahjong. So let's learn how to deal out starting hands to each player. Whoever is the dealer this round will roll the dice. Using the same rules as choosing the first dealer, the number landed on decides which portion of the wall you will start drawing from. The wall is broken X tiles from the right, where X tiles is the number rolled. For example, let's say we roll a 7. The player across from the dealer, the west player, will have their wall broken. Normally, the West player will do this themselves. In this case, the West player counts 7 stacks of tiles from their right and breaks the wall at that position. The dealer then takes the first 4 tiles, the first 2 stacks from after where the wall was broken. Then the South player, then the West player, then the North player. Each player takes 4 tiles a total of 3 times. Each player needs 13 tiles though, so each player will grab 1 additional tile in the same order. The West player, because they were the person to break the wall, will now set up what is known as the dead wall. The dead wall consists of tiles that players can't normally access. Some of these are used as indicators for bonus points, and some of them are usable, but only in niche situations. We'll cover these later on in the video. To set it up, take the top tile from where you broke the wall and drop it down next to the tile that it was on top of. Then flip over the second tile that is still on top, this one. This is an indicator for bonus points covered in more detail during the Mahjong Basics chapter. The dead wall should only extend 4 tiles past the indicator. The dead wall is now complete. You may now take the time to organize your tiles as you see fit. Many players organize their hands with character tiles first, then circle tiles, then bamboo, then honor tiles, but feel free to do as you wish. The dealer will draw the first tile and the game begins. If you want to speed things up, when everyone takes the final tile of their hand, the dealer can take the first and third tiles on the top of the stack to start the hand. Now that a hand is started, let's go over the Mahjong basics you'll need to win your first hand. If you can count backwards from 5, you can win a hand in Mahjong. A winning hand consists of 14 tiles and you need 5 blocks. 4 sets of 3, a pair of 2, and then you've won. And I have 0 regrets about that pun. The sets of 3 may be sequences or triplets, with the only rules being that the tiles in each individual block must be in the same suit. You can't wrap around to do things like 8, 9, 1 in a sequence, and honor tiles can't be in sequences, only triplets or pairs. If you were paying attention to the Yaku sheet from the first chapter, you'll have noticed that there are many different Yaku or win conditions in Riichi Mahjong. Luckily for new players, there are some easy ones to use for beginners that make up a large percentage of hands. The best one to learn first is this game's namesake, Riichi. To achieve Riichi, you must fill out 4 of your 5 blocks. Once you do, you'll be in a ready-win state called tenhoutei. Let's take into account our example here. We have a hand that has 3 out of 4 of our 3-tile blocks completed with 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, and 6, 7, 8. Our pair is completed with 2 7s of bamboo. The final block that we need to finish is this, a 5, 6 of bamboo that wants to become a 3-tile block with either a 4 or a 7 to become a 4, 5, 6 or 5, 6, 7 respectively. Now that I am 1 tile away from winning, when my turn comes and I draw my tile, I can discard it sideways and declare Riichi. You then put a 1000 point stick on the table. This is one of the sticks with only 1 dot on it. If you have a compass, place the stick in the designated slot in front of you. Calling Riichi does a few things, and it's special to Japanese Mahjong. Firstly, by calling Riichi, you are making a 1000 point bet that you are going to win this hand. Secondly, when you declare Riichi, everyone else at the table knows that you're waiting on your final tile or tiles, in this case, to win. Thirdly, after calling Riichi, you may not change the tiles in your hand, and you must wait on the same tiles until you either win, lose, or exhaustive draw when all the tiles have been drawn from the wall. Fourth, by calling Riichi and locking in your hand, there is inherent risk. Because you can't change the tiles in your hand, you must discard whatever you draw if it isn't your winning tile. This leaves you open to counterattack by other players, but this risk comes with significant reward as well. There are special bonus points that you can get after you call Riichi. If you win on the first go-around and no one calls any tiles from the discards, you get a bonus called Ippatsu, or one-shot in English. If you win the hand after calling Riichi, there's also potential bonus points over in the dead wall. That indicator that we flipped over when starting the game, the next tile in sequence is worth bonus points. This tile worth bonus points is called the Dora tile. Well, only when we win after calling Riichi, we can flip over the tile beneath it as well, granting us access to the Underdora, or Uradora in Japanese, for more chances at bonus points. Something else to keep in mind about Riichi is that when you have a closed hand and draw the winning tile yourself, That is a win condition worth 1 point in and of itself. So, though you can win that way without calling Riichi, it's also a potential bonus on top of the others. Other beginner Yaku are also seen in this hand. Notice that all of our tiles come from a number suit, and they're only tiles 2 through 8. There's no 1s or 9s, often referred to as terminal tiles because they're at the ends of each suit. Also, there's no honor tiles, so no winds or dragons. This is called all simples, or tenhoutei in Japanese, which again is a hand in which you only use tiles numbered 2 through 8. There are 2 other win conditions to talk about in this hand as well. First, we have a full flush. Similar to poker, a full flush in Mahjong consists of a hand that is all one suit. Because this isn't easy to do, it's worth a lot of points. Secondly, we have what is called a pure double sequence, or ipeiko in Japanese. We have 2 sequences that are the same, our blocks of 2, 3, 4, that are in the same suit. What's great about Mahjong is that these win conditions can all stack and combine to make some truly monster hands. For now, we'll talk about the 2 final Yaku for beginners, one being the half flush, where you have blocks in all of one of the numbered suits, plus any number of blocks of honor tiles, which, as you'll remember, need to either be triplets or pairs. This is one of the most common hands in the game. Another easy Yaku is to have a triplet of your seat wind, the round wind, or one of the dragons. You'll recall that everyone is assigned a wind at the beginning of each hand. If you have a triplet of your seat wind, that's a Yaku. If you're playing in the East round, which is the first half of a full game of Mahjong where everyone gets to be the dealer once, you can have a triplet of the East wind, and that's a Yaku. If everyone has already been the dealer once and the dealer indicator has been flipped to south, you can have a triplet of the South wind, and that is a Yaku. Should the occasion arise that you're both the South player and in the South round, having a triplet of the South wind will net you points for satisfying both conditions. Please note that a pair of these winds in these conditions is not worth any points. Similarly, if you get a triplet of any dragons, you are rewarded points and have a valid win condition. There are no special conditions needed, like what seat you're in, for winning with a dragon triplet, and again, a pair of dragons doesn't net you any points. So we have Riichi, pure double sequence, all simples, full flush, half flush, and honor triplets. If you're looking at a Yaku sheet, you'll notice a few things. First of all, there are more than just these Yaku. You should absolutely explore and aim for hands that look fun to you, but these are the ones that are the easiest and most common for beginners. Secondly, most Yaku sheets will have either an icon like this one, where it's a crossed out eye, or the words Menzenshin only, meaning closed hand only in Japanese, where these are only valid win conditions if you don't call tiles from other players. Some of these win conditions include Riichi and pure double sequence. We'll get into how to call tiles in the next chapter. Some Yaku on the Yaku sheet have 2 different values. Take for example the half flush. A half flush can be worth 2 or 3 han, a type of points used for scoring in Mahjong, depending on whether the hand is open or closed. Because it's harder to build a hand relying only on what you draw and discard, the hand is worth more when it's closed, but it's still a win condition when open. So how do we open our hands? In Riichi Mahjong, you are allowed to take tiles from other players' discards. You are allowed to make pairs into triplets from any player's discards, but you may only meld sequences from the player to your left. To make a pair into a triplet, immediately after someone discards a tile, say the word pon, P-O-N, and then reveal the pair in your hand to the rest of the players and move the tiles into the corner of the junk mat. You will then take the physical tile from your opponent's discards and set it either next to or in between your pair, depending on who you called the tile from. You put the tile sideways to the left if you called from the person to your left, sideways on the right if you took it from the person to your right, or sideways in between the 2 tiles if it was the person across from you. This lets everyone remember down the line where that tile came from. After you steal a tile, you must discard a tile from your hand, as the tile you just stole effectively counts as a draw. And then the game continues as normal. To make a 2-tile run into a full 3-tile sequence, when the player to your left and only the player to your left drops the tile you need, say the word chi, C-H-I, and reveal the 2 tiles from your hand. Push them into the corner, take the tile from your opponent's discards, and put it sideways and to the left of the tiles that came from your hand. You must then discard a tile from your hand, and once you do, the game continues as normal. Opening your hand in Mahjong is often taught as dangerous to beginner players because, as we discussed, only certain hands are valid when your hand is open. This means that you can get caught trying to win with an invalid hand, like if you opened your hand with a terminal tile when you don't have an honor triplet, or if you opened your hand with a wind triplet that wasn't the round wind or your seat wind. Beware these common beginner traps, but don't be afraid to open your hand. Yes, it is a general rule of thumb that you should try to keep your hand closed when you can, because it is almost always more valuable to call Riichi and achieve some of its bonuses, among other reasons, but opening your hand speeds up the progress of your hand, allowing you to compete for a higher win rate rather than a higher value hand. This is all a part of the delicate balance of Mahjong strategy, and is just a small part of what makes Mahjong such a deep and interesting game. Speaking of things generally kept as dangerous for new players to do, there is a third way to open your hand. There are 4 copies of each tile in Riichi Mahjong, and you can in fact make 4 of a kind. For all intents and purposes, these function like triplets, but when you call Kan, the word used to meld a quad, another Dora indicator gets flipped over in the dead wall. This can lead to you getting a ton of extra points through doubling the amount of Dora in this hand, but could also lead to you getting utterly demolished, since your opponents have just as much of a chance of having those new Dora tiles in their hand as you do. So before you do what I'm about to teach you, proceed with a healthy level of self-preservation. To meld a quad, you may call Kan immediately after anyone's discard if you have a triplet in your hand. Reveal the triplet from your hand, push the tiles into the corner of the junk mat, and take the tile from your opponent, either putting it sideways to the left, right, or in between, somewhere in the middle of the triplet, depending on who you got it from. You will not discard yet. First, whoever is sitting in front of the dead wall will flip over the new Dora indicator. Then, you, as the player who called Kan, will take the first available tile from the dead wall. This is your new draw. Fun fact, if you win off of this draw, it's called the Lotus that blossoms on the mountaintop, or Rinshan Kaiho. It's a hype and poetic way to finish a hand. After your discard, the game continues as normal. Additionally, if you have a triplet in your hand and draw the 4th tile, you may call Kan and also keep your hand closed. Say the word Kan and reveal all 4 tiles. Push them into the corner of the junk mat, flip over the 2 outside tiles so they're facing down, and draw from the dead wall as the person sitting in front of the dead wall flips over the new door indicator. Win in dramatic fashion, call Riichi, or discard as normal to continue the game. It's worth noting that if you've already called Pon to make a triplet and you draw the 4th tile, you may call Kan and repeat the steps above, but the hand will still be considered open because you've already opened with the Pon call earlier. As long as you have a valid open win condition like all simples, half or full flush, or a dragon triplet, you can win a hand by calling as many times as you'd like. Also, if one player calls Chi and another player calls Pon at the same time, the Pon takes priority. Since we've learned the player actions for stealing tiles, why don't we combine everything we've learned while learning the player actions for winning a hand by watching 2 sample hands, one closed and one open. Before we start our game, let's meet our competitors. We have Business Casual Tenhoutei. I'm a CEO that makes 10 times your salary and I don't know how to open a PDF. We have Irish Tenhoutei. Oh sure, but it's been so long since I've had a pint, I don't even know if I remember how to get to the pube. And we have Shady Tenhoutei. So we have all chosen our seat wins, made the wall, and we've already rolled for who will be the first dealer. This means that we are in East 1 because it is the first hand of the East round. Every Mahjong game starts in the East round, which goes into South round once everyone has gotten to be dealer once. The first dealer is Business Casual Tenhoutei, which you can tell by the dealer indicator in the right-hand corner with the East marker facing up. This makes us, the camera's point of view, the South player, the Irish Tenhoutei West player, and the Shady Tenhoutei North player. You can see the same information on the compass. Business Casual Tenhoutei rolls the dice to determine where the wall will be broken. It lands on a 5, so he'll count 5 from his right and break the wall accordingly. He will then take his first set of 4 tiles, followed by the South player, then the West player, then the North player. When this happens, business casual tenhoutei will set up the dead wall by placing the first tile down on the junk mat and flipping over the Dora indicator next to the first top stacked tile in the dead wall. Since he knows that the dead wall only goes 4 tile stacks past the Dora indicator, he marks the other wall where the last draw will be. Once everyone has 12 tiles, business casual tenhoutei takes the first and third tiles from the top row, saving time by finishing his starting hand and drawing his first tile at the same time, and everyone else draws 1 tile to bring them up to 13. Everyone now takes the time to sort their starting hand, and our camera POV, aka the South player, has a hand that looks like this. As with every starting hand, we need to think about our 5 blocks. Where are they now, and where do we want them to go? We have a 2-3-4 and a 3-4-5, making 2 blocks out of the 4 3-tile blocks that we need already completed. Super lucky. We have a pair of the 3 of bamboo, but there's also a 4 attached, so maybe it'll become a sequence. We have some loose circle tiles that we're hoping will attach to other draws, and we have some wind tiles that aren't our round wind or our seat wind. As we're looking at this starting hand, camera POV tenhoutei remembers some advice that his professional Mahjong player friend Luke once told him when he first started playing, which is that he can easily start hands by discarding unneeded honor tiles and trying to build around his other blocks. After business casual tenhoutei discards his first tile, we're left with a decision. We could chi the 2 of bamboo to meld 2-3-4, but our hand only has 2 completed blocks and arguably 1 pair, so it's best to wait for now unless you want to use an aggressive playstyle. Let's decide to skip calling chi for now and keep this hand closed. We draw a 6 of circles. This is great news. It goes right next to our 7 of circles, meaning we're 1 tile away from finishing this 3-tile block. But now we need to discard. Let's go ahead and follow Luke's sage advice of discarding our unneeded honors by discarding the north wind. Pon! Uh-oh. Shady tenhoutei called Pon on our tile, skipping Irish tenhoutei's turn and giving himself a valid yaku as the north player. From this position, he can win off of our discards. He might not be in tenpai yet, but we should consider this possibility moving forward because he has a valid win condition. Shady tenhoutei discards, and so does business casual tenhoutei. We get to draw our second tile. We get a second west wind, and this can be used as our pair, so it's not a bad choice to keep around. Suddenly, the useless west wind from before has a purpose. So what to discard? If you'd like to lock in the west wind as your pair and go for maximum tile efficiency, we can drop the 4 of circles since we know that we'll need to draw at least 2 more tiles to create a block of 3 around it, as compared to our 6-7, 3-3-4, and 2 wests, which could all become 3-tile blocks with just 1 draw. So let's go ahead and discard our 4 of circles. The discards go around the table and we're back to our turn. We draw the 3 of bamboo, and that's a tile that we need. Our blocks now look like this: 2-3-4, 3-4-5, 6-7, 3-3-3, west-west, and a 4. Only 1 block needs to be filled, our 6-7 waiting on either a 5 or an 8 of circles. So we're now in tenpai, but we don't actually have a yaku. This isn't a half flush, or a full flush, or all simples, but we could call Riichi, and that's a fine thing to do, but we can also consider our character tiles here. With 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, we could also very easily find a 2 or a 5 and discard the other one to create a pure double sequence, either 2-3-4, 2-3-4, or 3-4-5, 3-4-5. In situations like these, people will often give the advice to wait for 1 turn to see if your hand improves before calling Riichi, so let's do just that. It's our turn again, and look at that, we drew a 5, and it's red. That means it's the red Dora, or Akadora in Japanese. 1 5 from each suit is replaced with a red 5 in many different places around the world, depending on what rules they use. Not only have we found pure double sequence, but we've also found a Dora. This is the perfect opportunity to call Riichi. Let's discard the 2 of characters sideways and declare Riichi. Then we'll put our 1000 point stick in the middle of the table. Again, we're waiting on either the 5 or the 8 of circles. We'll watch everyone's discards as they go around the table and make sure we declare victory if they discard a tile, but it doesn't look like it's coming out just yet. Oop, we drew into a 4th 3 of bamboo. Since we're already in Riichi and we're the only ones who can use the Underdora, It's pretty worthwhile to call a closed con in this situation, so let's go for it. Con! We'll slide our tiles into the bottom right corner of the junk mat, flip over the outside ones, and then draw from the dead wall as business casual tenhoutei flips over the next door indicator. Our tile from the dead wall is the red 5 of circles. We've drawn our winning tile, and the best possible one at that. We can place the tile down next to our hand and declare sumo when we win off of our own draw. Flip your hand forward to show everyone else your hard work, and go ahead and grab those 2 Dora indicators and their under Dora counterparts. Let's flip them over to see if we hit any Dora. Wow! Let's count everything in our hand. We called Riichi, drew it ourselves, and got Rinchan Kaiho from winning off of a dead wall draw, and those are all 1 Han each. We got 2 red 5s and pure double sequence, also all worth 1 Han. And with the under Dora indicator being the 2 of bamboo, that makes our con of the 3 of bamboo 4 Dora. That gives us a total of 10 Han. And even if you don't know scoring, we can look it up in the scoring sheet and see that a 10 Han hand is worth 16,000 points. A great start to the game. So how do we get paid? Since we won off of a tile that we drew ourselves, all 3 other players owe us points, with the dealer owing double. So Shady Tenhoutei and Irish Tenhoutei owe us 4,000 points, and Business Casual Tenhoutei owes us 8,000 points. That will total the 16,000 points our hand was worth. You give people points by setting the sticks down on the table and letting them pick them up. This way, everyone at the table gets to see that the pair was played appropriately and there's nothing shady going on. Always remember to take your own Riichi stick back. That's yours to keep now that you've won the bet that you made by calling Riichi. For the second hand, we'll shuffle the tiles while Irish Tenhoutei curses your name for getting such a good hand. Business Casual Tenhoutei was on a business call and hasn't had the time to process that he's just lost 8,000 points for doing nothing. Shady Tenhoutei remains an enigma. For our second hand, we are now the dealer. Because Business Casual Tenhoutei, the dealer of the previous hand, lost when he was the dealer moves on in the counterclockwise direction. We were previously south, and now we're east. This marks the beginning of East 2. We roll the dice, the wall gets cut, everyone draws their hands in counterclockwise order like before. As the dealer, we'll make sure we take our first draw before discarding anything, and this is our hand at the start. This hand looks like a great candidate for a half flush, and if we're particularly lucky, maybe even a full flush. Let's start by going for a half flush in the circle suit and see where that takes us. In a normal hand, new players might start by cutting honor tiles, but because honor tiles are so useful in a half flush, let's get rid of the other suits that we won't need. We can start by getting rid of the terminal tiles, the 1 and the 9 in the bamboo suit. Let's discard the 9 first, because the sparrow is nicer to look at, so we'll keep it around a little bit longer. Irish Tenhoutei draws, and then discards the red dragon. Hey, we have a pair of those. Let's go Pon. Pon! We'll reveal our tiles, push them to the bottom right corner of the junk mat, and place Irish Tenhoutei's discarded red dragon sideways to the right of our pair to communicate that it came from him. This is a great pickup, because even if we don't get our half flush, we'll always have a valid hand from here because we have a dragon triplet. Now we need to discard, so it's bye-bye birdie. Irish Tenhoutei draws again and discards the 1 of circles. Pon again. Let's follow the same process here. Now we have to discard, and it only makes sense to get rid of our 2 of characters. Tiles are drawn and discarded until it's Business Casual Tenhoutei's turn, who calls Riichi with a 5 of circles. Oh. We've put ourselves in a bit of a bind now. 2 of our blocks are open to the side, so we only have 7 different tiles we can discard to try and stay safe against his Riichi. We can either try and defend and fold with what we have left, or we can push by calling Chi on his 5 of circles to complete a sequence and get into Tenpai. We've come this far, we might as well do it. Declare Chi and show your tiles of choice. Either the 4-6 or the 6-7 will work here. Let's go with the 6-7. We'll push our 6-7 into the corner, grab his 5 of circles, and then put it to the left of our 6-7. It's worth noting that Business Casual Tenhoutei is no longer to get Ipatsu, aka the one-shot, because the first go-around of his Riichi has been broken by a call. Now for the final push. What to discard? As we'll go over in more detail in the next chapter, players are not allowed to win on weights that they've already discarded. So if Business Casual Tenhoutei's final block that needs finished is a 3-4 of circles, he wouldn't have thrown the 5 because he would have just won with the 3, 4, 5. This means that the likelihood of him needing the other side, the 2 of circles for the 2, 3, 4, is much less likely. This is a defense strategy in Riichi Mahjong called Suji. It's not impossible for him to be waiting on the 2 of circles though, because though less likely, he could have a 1-3 shape or a double pair weight that includes the pair of the 2s to make a triplet of the 2 of circles hiding in his hand. This is safe enough for some people, but others would say that discarding the green dragon is safer because the green dragon can only combine with itself. There's less possibilities to win off of it. Whatever we discard, we'll be waiting to win off the other one by creating a pair. This is where Mahjong starts to tell you what kind of person you are. Do you go for the safer discard, or do you go with the more risky one yourself and prey on the weak who will surely discard the green dragon thinking it's safe? Yeah, let's do that. We can discard the 2 of circles and it passes. Hooray! Let's prey on the weak. The draw goes to Shady Tenhoutei, who plays it safe by discarding the green dragon. We can declare victory over our enemy's discards by declaring Ron and flipping the rest of our closed tiles forward, and now we've won the hand. Because we didn't call Riichi, we don't have to worry about the underdora, and the Dora indicator was a bamboo tile in this case, so our half flush in the circle suit doesn't have anything there either. But what we do have is a red dragon triplet and an open half flush, which makes our hand 3 Han, 1 for the dragon and 2 for the open half flush. A respectable hand. This hand would normally be worth 3,900 points, but because we're the dealer, we get 50% more points than other players as a counterbalance to paying out double when an opponent sumos their hand, like what happened to business casual Tenhoutei in the first hand. With the dealer bonus, this hand is actually worth 5,800 points, and Shady Tenhoutei has to pay all of it himself because he was the one that dealt in. Since we're the dealer and we won the hand, we get to stay dealer, so we're going to be the East player again this round. This makes it East 2, repeat 1. Hands are now worth 300 bonus points for whoever wins their hand, and after we set up the wall, we'll pound out a 100 point stick in the bottom right corner of the table called a honba to designate that we're in the first repeat. If you repeat multiple times, put that many sticks out. You'll take them back once you lose a hand or the game ends. These are just indicators. Let's skip a few discards into East 2 repeat 1, where we'll use our example hand from the previous chapter to teach about the most confusing rule for new players, Furiten. As a refresher, this is our hand, a full flush in the bamboo suit that is also all simples and has a pure double sequence. Let's take a look at our own discards. As you can see, we've been making progress toward our full flush. We dropped some tiles in the other suits, got rid of our honor tiles, and we even got rid of the one of bamboo to make all simples. But there's a problem. Let's look closely at our hand. Full flushes can be hard to read even for the best players, so much so that it's an entire section on the exam to become a professional player. Let's break it down into our 5 blocks. 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 7, 8, 7, 7. Hey, we're in tenpai. That's great. We could even call Riichi if we wanted to, but we don't have to because we already have a win condition like full flush, which is arguably valuable enough on its own. So we have a 5, 6, which means that we're waiting on a 4 or a 7 of bamboo, right? Well, it's a little bit more complicated than that. We can also rearrange our hand like this for a better visual. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 7, 7. Oh, we could view this as a 5, 6 waiting on a 4, 7, or a 2, 3 waiting on a 1, 4. So it's actually a 1, 4, 7 triple-sided wait. But we already discarded the one of bamboo, and we already mentioned that earlier we can't call Ron off of tiles we've already discarded. So what now? Well, because the one of bamboo is a part of our 1, 4, 7 wait, we're actually not allowed to call Ron on any tiles included in this wait, meaning that even if others deal our winning tiles, the 1, the 4, or the 7, we aren't allowed to win off of their discards. We can still win, we just have to draw it ourselves. Even if we draw the one that we already discarded, it still counts when we sumo the hand. This is to protect people from shady individuals who might want to trap people with their discards, so be careful about what you discard. You can avoid Furiten most of the time if you just always think about your 5 blocks and what they're going to become. And don't worry, Furiten happens to everybody, even pro players. so it's all good. So now we know how to win a hand, but how do we not lose a hand? Defense in Riichi Mahjong is a fickle mistress. You might think that when they call Riichi on the 6 of bamboo, that the 3 of bamboo is safe to discard because clearly they don't have a 4-5 shape, but they will have a 1-2 shape when you're at your most desperate. There are entire seminars on how to defend in Riichi Mahjong, and while I won't tell you everything, I'll give you the tools you'll need to survive. Let's say your opponent calls Riichi. They can't win off of the tiles they've already discarded, so discarding tiles that match the tiles in their discards is completely safe to that player. You can also discard honor tiles that you don't think they need or want, followed by Suji tiles, followed by random terminal tiles that just kind of have the right vibe. After that, you're on your own. And even then, just because it's safe to the guy who called Riichi doesn't mean that it's safe against the other 2 players who might be lying in wait on the tiles others might think are safe to fold with. If you manage to make it to the end of the wall and there's no tiles left to draw, players in tenpai flip their hands up and players who aren't in tenpai, aka no-ten, flip their hands down. The no-ten players pay the tenpai players a total of 3,000 points, split among the tenpai players. So if one person is in tenpai, the other 3 each give them 1,000 points. If 2 players are in tenpai, each one will receive 1,500 points from the nearest player. And if 3 people are in tenpai, the no-ten player pays out 1,000 points to each player for a total of 3,000 points. If the dealer ends the hand in tenpai, they get to stay the dealer. There's also the possibility that no one reaches tenpai, in which case you move on to the next hand and the dealer also passes. This is important to think about because you might want to fold in the hopes of reaching tenpai and getting a little bit of a payment. In addition to that, being in no-ten at the end of the game and paying out 1,000 points is a much better scenario than dealing into a huge hand like the one that we had earlier. There are loads of ways to go about it, and other YouTubers like Crow77 and Zanzust have excellent videos on these topics. You can find Riichi Mahjong clubs all across the globe, including in North America, Europe, Africa, Australia, and of course, Asia. If you're looking for a local club, the Jellycode Mahjong map can tell you where the nearest one is to you. This map is relatively extensive, but certainly incomplete. Google your area and Mahjong, and you're sure to find a club near you. Mahjong people are friendly and want more people to enjoy our niche hobby. They'll even go through the trouble of making hour-long videos like this one, which take dozens of hours of filming and editing. So if you liked this video, please subscribe and leave a comment below the like button if you have any questions about playing Riichi Mahjong. I've been tenhoutei, now get out there and play some Mahjong.